Hello, today I want to go over one of my favorite habits that we're tracking for this challenge, and that is protein first thing in the morning, trying to get 30 grams. So, we're going to cover a few things in this training. First of all, what are macros? I'll give you a simple breakdown because at some point we all ask that question. Like, I remember I was even at one point going, what the heck are macros? What is this all about? And so, this is the building blocks for information. We're also going to talk about why protein is so important for women. We'll talk about why we want to start with those 30 grams in the morning, how much protein you actually need throughout the entire day, how to track it using labels or an app, and then also easy ways to help you hit your protein goal. So, right off the bat, what are macros? This is a simple explanation. So, before we really dive into protein specifically, I want to make sure that you understand what we mean by macros. So, macros is just a short version of macronutrients. And there are three main macronutrients that your body uses for energy. So, this is in our food. Those are protein, which is best for building and repairing your muscle, carbohydrates, which is your body's main preferred source of energy, and then fats, which are going to help support your hormones and overall health. So, all the foods that we eat are a combination of these macros, and that makes up your total calories for the day. So for this challenge in particular, we put a big focus on protein, but really your foods are composed of all of these things, and they're all important for your overall health. So let's talk about why protein is so important, especially for women. So the real truth is most women are not getting even close to enough protein. It actually is kind of hard to hit enough protein if you're not intentionally choosing foods that will help boost that in our natural diet. So, this is also one of those biggest reasons why women are struggling with losing fat, why they are constantly hungry, why they are losing muscle and, getting that soft look instead of looking strong and toned, and also why their energy is low. Protein is essential because it does several things. It helps you to build and maintain your muscle. That is huge, especially for women, because as we age, we naturally are losing muscle mass. Also, if you're constantly dieting, your risk for losing muscle is also increased. And muscle is going to not only help you feel strong and look toned, but it's also going to help with longevity and, your overall health and ability to live longer and stronger and healthier. It also helps, like I said, to build your body shape. So it gives you that toned look that a lot of people are looking for when they lose weight. It's going to help you to stay full longer. It's going to help with less snacking and cravings, which is huge, especially if you're in a diet phase. It also is going to support metabolism. The more muscle we have, the faster our metabolism is. And then, of course, it's going to help to stabilize your blood sugar. So if you really want to get that strong, toned, lean, and defined look, it is a non-negotiable. And so I'm going to start with why we are shooting for those 30 grams of protein in the morning. We really want to try to do that for a reason. Number one, most people like to start their day with a little coffee, maybe some carbs. And what that does is it might give you some quick energy, but it's usually followed by a crash and cravings later. So what we want to do instead is start your day with protein. It's going to help you to stabilize blood sugar. Yes, you can also have carbs as well, fats, but adding the protein in along with that helps regulate that. It's also going to help reduce your cravings throughout the day. So hungrier in the afternoon or later after you've just had your meal, a few hours, this is going to help, give you more of that satiety where you feel full for longer. And then also it's going to set the tone for the day to help you make better choices. Also, a little added bonus, it helps to regulate your cortisol, so the stress hormones, first thing in the morning. So instead of chasing energy all day, like you're just like falling off, instead you're starting your day feeling fueled. So I also want to talk about, because we're doing the challenge is 30 grams in the morning, but how much protein should you eat in the total day? So here's kind of a simple math formula that you can use to help give you a range. If you aim for 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, that is a good general range for women. So, if your goal weight is, say, to weigh 140 pounds, you're aiming roughly for 100 to 140 grams of protein per day. So don't stress about it being like an exact specific number, especially if you're new, but just think of it more of as a range for you. And, if you're an advanced athlete or you're somebody who's training extra hard in the gym or, have more of a intentional goal with putting on muscle, you will even be above that 1 gram per pound of body weight. I am an example of that. So, I eat more protein than 1 gram per pound of my ideal body weight. Because I want to help continue to build muscle, and I am performing a lot in the gym, like pushing myself with the weight training. So I want to get the most out of that. But like I said, it's a range, and don't worry about it being perfect, especially if you're a beginner. So for this challenge, we really are just focusing on one meal to make it simple, to make it repeatable. We're going to try to get that 30 grams first thing in the morning. As a bonus, you can also try to get protein in every other meal. So if, let's say you're doing breakfast, lunch, dinner, if you get 30, 30, 30 for those meals, maybe a snack, you're definitely going to be hitting that 100 plus range for your protein. And sometimes people are confused, like, what is a gram of protein? Well, that's when, tracking is really going to be important here. So, what tracking allows you to do is it's actually seeing the numbers instead of just trying to guess. And there's two main ways that you can track and see what amount of protein is in your actual foods. Because, if you're new to macros, you may not know this, you may not understand what your foods are composed of. And so, first, easiest way to do it, if your food is packaged, take a look at the food label. And so it will tell you the amount of protein per serving. So let's say the serving is Greek yogurt, right? So it'll say the serving size is, a cup or 2/3 of a cup or something like that. Each package is a little bit different. That's why we look at the label. It will give you the amount of protein per serving. So it might be 15 to 20 grams, for example. An egg is another one. It's not packaged, but you can look up those foods. And this is where using an app is super helpful. An egg is 6 grams per egg. With chicken, same thing, put it on a food scale, measure it, you know exactly what the portion is, and then, continue to look that up. How much is in this serving size of 4 ounces? Well, it's 25 to 30 grams, depending on what type of chicken you're doing. So, it really, what it does, reading those labels, is it helps you to recognize what your foods contain, like how much protein is in different types of foods. And you'll find that some things are better protein sources than others. And we're looking at total calories too, because all of these macros come together for your overall calorie amount. So if you're trying to lose weight or maintain a lower body fat percent, yes, we want to up your protein, but we also don't want to put your calories in a surplus where then you're gaining extra body fat. You need to have that balance. So for most people, choosing lean proteins that are mostly protein without added carbs and fats are good choices to help boost your protein up so that you can build that muscle and maintain it, feel full, and regulate your blood sugars without having too many calories. And you learn this by reading the labels and logging your food. So I love the app, and there's multiples out there. Our app is just one example, and I definitely recommend, if you're new to learning about macros, start logging your food with an app, because it shows you don't have to know anything. You just put in your food choice, the portion size, and it will tell you what the macros are so that you can see it in real life. Inside your app, you'll be able to log that, right? So in our training app that we have, you can also log your food. And really what we're paying attention to as you're logging is what those foods are composed of. How much protein are you eating, right? It also is helpful for making decisions. If you put in your breakfast and you realize you're only getting 10 grams of protein, it will help you to know, what else do I need to eat? What do I need to shift in my food choices? What swaps can I make, or things can I put in to help me increase that, right? Or if you put it in and it's way over, you can also decrease it and just kind of get into that nice healthy range. That's really what logging does, is it gives you that feedback and information. And when you're learning about nutrition and you're trying to make these choices, being able to see it in real time is so, so helpful for the accountability, for the feedback, and then also just general information. Then you start to learn which foods are going to be best choices for you. You don't have to track forever. It's an amazing tool. It's great for building awareness. But once you start to learn and understand what food choices to have, you can just repeat those and not have to track it all the time. So here's some easy ways to hit that 30 grams in the morning, because I know that's our goal, right? We want to keep it simple and repeatable. So I highly recommend like pick a couple of options and then repeat them through the week and then change it up when you finally get sick of it. Some examples would be egg whites combined with a whole egg. So the whole egg is going to give you 6 grams of protein, but part of that is the yolk, which gives you fats. So if we want to keep our calories a little bit lower, but we want to boost up the protein, the egg white itself is pure protein. It's a great source. So if we're, say, doing 1 whole egg and then we do 3 or 4 egg whites, or 2 whole eggs and several egg whites, those egg whites are going to increase your protein without making your calories out of control. I love that combination. Greek yogurt. If you look at the Greek yogurt labels, you'll notice there's a wide variety. So choose one that works for you. I usually do a plain Greek yogurt and then mix in some protein powder. The protein powder is going to boost the protein up again, and then also give it flavoring so that I don't have to waste calories on added sugars. And then, like I said, there's lots of different versions of Greek yogurt. So you can have some that's low fat. You can have some that have extra fats in, just depending on your goal and preference. Protein shake is an easy one. The pre-made protein drinks are done for you. They have 25 to 30 grams of protein in them. You can pair that with some fruit. It's an easy breakfast on the go. Cottage cheese is also one of my favorites. Pair that with toast or any other type of carb. It could be an English muffin or something like that. It's an easy one that you really don't have to cook. So just throw it together for a quick and easy breakfast. And then of course, you can always have leftovers too. There's no reason why you can't have chicken at breakfast. But these are just some simple examples. I also sent out that list of ideas, and really mix and match too. You don't have to just have one thing. You can have a little bit of each. You could have some cottage cheese and some eggs, and it just makes it easier to get that 30 grams. Doesn't have to be fancy. You just need to focus on making it happen, right? And I always tell people, don't act like you're a sous chef or you're trying to win the Michelin cooking award or whatever. Just get the food in your body, make sure it's good, healthy choices, and don't overcomplicate it. Just get it done. Okay, so a couple of reminders. This is really one of our most powerful habits for the entire challenge. Not because it's overly complicated, we don't want to make it that way, but because it's something that works. So don't think about it has to be perfect. No, it doesn't. What we really want to focus on this throughout the whole challenge is that consistency. So if you miss it one day, hit it the next day. Even if you miss it in your breakfast, get it in later in the day. Hit that 30 grams in your lunch. Make up for it. Don't just give up and, start over. No, keep working for it, right? That's where that consistency builds, because over time, the thing that you do most is what's going to make the biggest difference. And so that's why we're doing this. And then remember, try to shoot for starting your day off this way every single day. It's an amazing habit to establish good eating habits throughout the day. This is how we're going to build that momentum. All right, let's go.